Hello, people. How's it going? I guess I should have heated up my tea before I put on the video. This will be a book review. Hopefully not too long. I'm going to try to keep it under 10 minutes, maybe. Roald Dahl. It's a pretty good book. It's a big book, but it's a pretty good book. I'll have to tape that. Anyway. Actually, it is a good book. It's a very good book about the guy. Deals with all his family issues, his family problems, his family overall, his relationship with his family, his life in the RAF during the World War II, his life as a diplomat, his many marriages, his affairs, his interactions with other people, his selfishness. He was a selfish man. I'm sorry, he was. He was a good writer. He was very selfish. He liked to dominate. Sadly, he was anti-Semitic. That's in the book. Overall, it's a good book. It is long. I mean, it is very detailed. It is very well written. I like it. I didn't grow up with a lot of Roald Dahl. I'm pretty sure I know. I'm fairly certain I did read this book of his, which is my favorite book of his. And I love the movie, even though he didn't like the movie. Probably my favorite book of his. I like this one as well. Unfortunately, this is the only book I have of some short stories of his. It's of a series. That's a whole bunch of others. There is a complete short stories of Roald Dahl that I'm going to try to find to replace this with. But, I mean, he was an interesting writer. His stories are weird, bizarre, violent, disturbing, creepy, unpleasant, good, frightening. He was a weird writer. He wrote weird stuff. He was a strange guy. He was a talented guy. He was not someone that liked to be told what to do. He didn't particularly. He was a writer. Come on, let's be honest. Most writers are like that. But, he was married to the actress Patricia Neal for a long time. He still had affairs. He lost one of his children when she was young, Olivia, which really devastated him, which really troubled him a lot of his life. It talks a lot about his relationship with his different wives, children, editors, and other people he either alienated or just simply cut off or had up and down relationships with. His battle with editors. He was complicated. He really was complicated. But he was selfish. He just was. But what writer isn't? What person isn't? It took a while to finish this book. Mainly because I read so many others at one time. But, it is a good book. I mean, it is a well-documented, well-researched, everything else book. Try to find a decent picture to show. Let's see. There are some pictures of Roald Dahl. I don't think you can see it very well, but he was in the IRF. He flew planes. Of course he did. He was in the IRF. I believe he was shot down a few times. I think he crashed. I'm trying to remember by memory. I just finished this book about a month ago, finally. Some pictures of him in the IRF. RAF. I keep saying RAF. That's right. My brain is, I'm tired. More pictures. I mean, how do you talk about a writer whose stories are bizarre? Whose most kid characters he doesn't treat all that well. Not all of them. Most of them he doesn't. He doesn't have a very good view of adults. He treats adults terrible. Not all stories. And most of the stories, his adults are the enemy. The kids are the heroes. The adults are the enemy. Except for Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Let's see. There's him and his siblings. Let's see. He was anti-Semitic. I already said that, but bears repeating, I suppose. He didn't like Israel. He didn't like Jewish people. A lot of his stories are stereotypical stereotypes of people. He he had opinions and he had them strongly. Um, he didn't. I'm not sure how to explain the guy. I mean, he literally was just complicated. And at the same time, people would like him, despite his selfish nature and his self-centered nature and his need to be in control of everything. And he tried to be a loving father, and for the most part, he was. He just had a tendency to just go overboard. I mean, his marriage to Patricia Neal. I mean, it lasted a long time, but if I remember correctly, she just said enough's enough because he was having an affair, and he eventually married that woman. But his writing was creative. His writing was very imaginative. He was a great writer. He was a very good writer. He had an imagination. He had what is required. He could write. And people liked his stories, even the bizarre, weird ones. He wasn't. I know I keep saying this, but his stories really were. How to put this? He didn't treat his characters well, particularly the adults. He didn't treat the kid characters very well. He didn't have a problem with some of the things he did to his characters. I mean, he was a good writer. I mean, that's really all you can say. I mean, other than his prickly personality, and this book is very good and in depth in dealing with all these contradictions in his nature and in his raw creativity. The one thing about the book I think I may have an issue with, though, I don't think it deals enough with the writing process he went through. It talks about his writing. It talks about where his ideas came from. It talks about a few things, but it doesn't really, in my mind, go in depth enough into why or the process of writing why. I mean, maybe I'm asking too much. Who knows? I mean, he was a interesting though. He could not stand the movie version of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. He did not like that version. I like that version. I like the Gene Wilder version. I'm trying to find something. Let's see. Let's see. Um, Other pictures. I'm trying to find a decent picture to show him. I mean, his family was originally from Norway. Actually, wasn't English. His family immigrated to England in the 1800s, late 1800s. I mean, Dalh is not an English name; it's Norwegian. Um, Overall, the book is good. Overall, the book is in depth. Overall, the book really does delve into this typical writer of I'm important and you better know it. But that's what most writers are like. I hear music in the other room. There are people here. I'm trying to get up to 10 minutes at least. There is a complete collection of his short stories. I'm not sure I'm going to keep buying this series. It deals with certain stories. I like some of his short stories. He is the exception to one rule. I usually like the short stories more than I like the novels. But in his case, I like his novels more than I like his short stories. Even though I haven't read a lot of them, but I've read enough of them. These are the two best stuff he's written that I remember that I have read. I mean, there are others I have to read that I have not read before. I probably like them too. He's weird enough to be liked. I mean, his stories are likable and interesting, if not disturbing. While I keep coming back to his personality, but he really was an asshole sometimes. He really was. It's the only way to put it. He really, really, really was somebody who just like to say, you know what, doll, shut up. Be quiet. Go away. Stop bugging me. Because he could get on people's nerves, and he did. And a lot of times he did it on purpose. But at the same time, he had that odd quality that people liked him anyway. And he was prickly, like a lot of people, but he was prickly, but he was an interesting guy. He's probably not my favorite author. I like, as I said, I do like some of his stuff, but he's not an influence in my writing. He's just one of those authors I've read off and on. But he's not an influence in my own writing. You would think he was, but he really wasn't. Anyway, we're at 10 minutes, which is where I wanted it to end anyway. I'm going to try to do these book reviews a little better. Kind of my first one, I'm trying to do better than the other ones I did. Please like, subscribe, share, comment. Have a nice day, people. Have a good day. I will, behave yourselves, because I won't. Later. Later, later.